Welcome to Conversations in Mind. This is a space for conscious inquiry, where metaphysics, new thought, and the science of mind meet real life. In a world calling for deeper awareness, we explore the nature of consciousness, the power of thought, and the presence of spirit moving through everyday experience. And now, here are your hosts, Barb Bue and Mark Gilbert.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Conversations in Mind, where we get together to contemplate this question. What if your mind is more than just a collection of thoughts? And what if it's a gateway to a whole new way of living? I'm Reverend Barbara. I'm joined by my friend and fellow minister, Reverend Mark Gilbert. We come here every week to have a chat and to seek to demystify the study of new thought and dive kind of into the science and soul of consciousness, and to try to bring a different or new perspective to some of these teachings that we've been teaching for a long time. So if you're a longtime seeker or curious about the power of your own perspective, you are so welcome here, and we are grateful that you decided to take the time to join us. We have sort of we have an interesting topic today, I think. I'm finding it interesting. The role of resistance, because then I have to say resistance is futile. And I'm probably going to say that 20 times in this episode for 40 minutes, right? The role of resistance. Why does our mind resist and fight the healing and the abundance and all of the things that we claim to want? And I run into this all the time. I don't know about you. Do you run into this?
Oh, yeah, of course. I have plenty of times where I think I'm wanting something and I can put up a lot of barriers to it. And so, yes, and I think this is going to be a fun topic. I think I always have fun talking with you, by the way.
Well, yeah, totally. Yes. And we try to say something smart while we're here.
Every once in a while, it slips out.
Yes, every once in a while. Hopefully something thought-provoking anyway, or that will inspire you to write us a question or a comment or something, which we love to see. So resistance. Yeah. I always find this fascinating. Like the fact that I know what would be good for me. Mm-hmm. I know what would be good for me. I know it would be good for me to do X, Y, or Z on any given day. And that is the thing that I can find all the things to do besides that.
Yeah, I can identify with that. Even when I'm affirming something and I'm going to do something or be something, I will put a lot of distractions in the way, and that's one of the ways that the resistance shows up for me. Resistance can show up both in our consciousness. I can think of a lot of ways, and we may get into this. Is that I think one thing, but I really don't think that, or I really don't believe it. So there's that sort of dynamic tension between saying the truth and then what you truly believe deep down inside, or maybe even subconsciously.
The yeah buts, you mean? The yeah buts? Yeah, I got the yeah buts.
And then there's the barriers we put in front of us, to keep it from happening too, which are often resistance. And there are maybe times, weeks, I'm not resisting, but if you really examine it, then there are times, at least I know that I have, I don't think I'm resisting something that's not showing up. And yet when I dive deeper into it, I can see that there are little things I'm doing that are preventing it from happening.
You got a good example for that one?
You're putting me on the spot.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now here in this very program.
Yeah, I'll give you. It's sort of a simple one, but you could see guitar cases back there and behind me. And I wanted to play guitar all my life. And a few years ago, I rekindled that love and got invested in some guitars. And I practiced and took lessons for maybe 2 years. And then there was, life events got in the way that precluded me. And if you ever play guitars, you keep calluses on your fingers for pressing the chords down. And there's a painful process you have to go through when you're redoing it to, get back into doing it again. And so my mindset has been, and I've been affirming that I'm going to play the guitar. And then I look at the things and they're like little guilt boxes sitting around the house. and then my mind goes, I'll give myself, well, it's because I've got to do X, Y, and Z. I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I put other things in front of it. And so I think that's a resistance where I know it's something that I truly, and when I have played it in the past, I've truly enjoyed it. I never felt like I was totally good at it, not good to perform for other people, but it does bring me joy when I can feel it, that like it really sounds like the song I think I'm playing.
Do you think you ever I told a story actually recently while I was doing a talk about somebody who signs up for guitar lessons and really wants to learn to play the guitar and buys a guitar and then has it refretted and then has new strings put on and then has this done and that done, but never actually plays the guitar, goes to the lessons even, but never actually plays to the guitar until the guitar teacher everything's fine, just play.
Right.
And I think sometimes the resistance is our own desire to do it perfect or to be good at it faster than we're going to be good at it.
Yeah. And that gets to a point about the fact that some things, especially things in this physical life that require some effort, that, you have to put so many hours into it to get to the stage where you get in the flow and are doing it well. And we can, think of typing. Remember when you were first typing and you couldn't hit the keys and then,
I had to take typing class in high school. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I did. It's one of the few classes that really benefited me. I came out of high school typing like a whiz.
Did you? I had resistance to typing class because I had a teacher that constantly told me that I should always have the backup plan of being a secretary. And I was like, I am not a freaking secretary. Even back then, like that's not going to happen. So I was not a good typist when I left.
But there's the point where it goes from being you're consciously trying to type to where it just becomes subconscious and you're just doing it. And there's a
great metaphor actually right there. Good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so much of our life is we have to put the effort in to move. Driving a car is another example. You do it and you just get in and go. And, you can be someplace and you totally don't even remember driving, the last 20 or 30 miles. And it becomes below the level of awareness. And sometimes these things that we want to learn to do, we want to get to that point where it becomes that effortless role. But sometimes there's hours of effort that's put in. So we affirm there's something that we want, a skill that we want to develop. And then we get lazy or scared or fear of failure, or I feel like, and for many things, I would say not good enough. There's an effort, an essence in us oftentimes for many things that we say, I'd love to do that, but I'm just not good enough at it. I mean, you look at somebody playing guitar wonderfully on, TV or a YouTube video or something, and you go, oh, I'll never be there. So because you sort of like put a gap between you and where you want to be, and it seems insurmountable, and you lay a lot of reasons on yourself and just sort of like give up before you even start.
Well, especially where the time to do it is concerned, because, at this point in my life, I'm like, I'm never going to have enough time. I'm never going to put enough time in that to be good at it. So why do it? But I think we're kind of a little off of our actual topic, which is why do we resist healing? Why do we resist this idea of abundance and the flow of the universe? Why do we resist experiencing why do we resist meditation, which we know is the experience of connection and oneness with the divine, with some sort of divine presence, right? And yet we ignore, or I don't know, is it ignore? Is it we just put other things first? Is it that we put other things ahead of our own spiritual care and feeding? I'm not sure.
I think that's a degree of it. I remember Stephen Covey's work years ago where he talked about putting first things first. And he would say, what is it you want to really be? Where you're going with your life? What are your highest priorities? And are you in alignment with it? And then you break it down into steps and skills to move towards where you want to be. And if you say, I want to play the guitar, and yet you don't build time in your schedule to play the guitar, is it really a priority for you? And it's something you need to look at what it is you say is what's healing for you. What is it that you want to create in your life? And then when you find those barriers popping up, if that's not becoming like the number one thing that you put on your time each day, then are you really wanting that? You need to stop and evaluate yourself. And if you truly want it, you got to ask, why am I avoiding it? Why? And I think that calls for some internal work, some journaling work, some way of dialoguing with your higher self to really go in and ask yourself, why is it that I say this is important, yet I don't work towards it? And it's not so much about just doing treatment work.
No.
It's about also taking the steps and actions, the treat and move your feet aspect of it. There's the part where you actually have to do it. And to say that I want something and affirm that it's coming calls us to also put ourselves in the position, which includes any actions that are appropriate for that to be manifested. And if we don't do that, then we have to really question why we think that's something we want if we're denying it.
Right. And is it that we're denying it because we don't really want it? We're denying it because we're putting some sort of a barrier in there that says that we're never going to be good enough, or that we're never going to be enough,
Right.
something in order to, and here's the thing, like what comes to me right this second in hearing you say that playing the guitar brought you joy. It's like we put doing something that brings us joy secondary to doing something well enough to perform, or to some standard of good enough,
right,
that we have to achieve, rather than just being great, really great, with experiencing some joy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Like I could probably see I'm sure there's places in my own life where this happens too. They're just not popping into my head right now, but joy is not where we don't let joy be enough of a reason, or joy be enough. Like, and that seems like that old training of gotta work, gotta achieve, gotta win, gotta, right?
We look at things that we want to manifest in our lives and sometimes compare them to the abilities and opinions of others.
Yeah.
And we deny that just accepting doing something for the blessing and joy of doing it, and versus I've got to also not only do it for joy, but do it to some standard to meet for an external validation.
I got to be Peter Frampton, or
exactly.
Wasn't he a guitar? Isn't he the guitar player? Yeah. I'm pulling names out of guitar players. I don't know guitar players.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So to go further in this, though, let's dive into. So we teach in New Thought that healing of our body is possible through our mind, through control / prayer / connection / there's a number of different words around that.
Right.
Most of us are not in a place where we have achieved some healing of our body or physical self through prayer, through those means. What is our resistance to that idea? Because when I look at history, and let me back up. When I look at history, 200 years ago, people really believed that still. 1,000 years ago, they really believed it, and they saw it, and what they believed happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like in many ways, we let all of the science get in front of our ability to believe that these things are possible. Even though and I'm not knocking science. I'm a big proponent of science, scientific thought, scientific inquiry, and vaccines. So let's be clear. But at the same time, like, how is it that as a people we've gotten so far away from? And is it really just like we got into a place where if science can't fix it, we don't believe it can be fixed?
I think that you're 100% correct in that we've moved to a state where we're brought into this world and are taught and acclimated that everything is physical matter, and that science is the answer to figuring out how physical matter interacts with itself. And so that everything that we see that relates to a healing has to be done through some sort of Western medicine model that looks at the body as sort of an engine that needs to be fixed like a car engine. And so we either give it a pill or do surgery or things of that nature. And then we discount alternative medicines, which prayer can be.
Yeah.
And for many people, if you start talking about, any kind of alternative stuff like acupuncture or energy work or even power of prayer to heal, then people will say, well, no, we've got to have Western medicine, et cetera. Now, and I agree with you. There's a place for Western medicine, but I think in that we've sort of thrown the baby out with the bathwater in this kind of scenario, that we've thrown out the ability for looking at alternative ways or the role that attitude and belief plays in our physical health.
Yes.
And by the nature that we have said that really doesn't have a bearing on it, it's all just the interactions of stuff in a physical body. It doesn't leave any room for prayer to heal us physically. So we can do it, so that's the mindset of people who would, it's I know we've talked about this in some prior videos, but oftentimes when I'm talking with people and we get down to the crux of why we might disagree on stuff, is we either disagree on what God is, when we're disagreeing on the God, whether the God exists or not, or we're agreeing that everything is physical matter or not. Is there a non-material realm to life? And if you are on the spiritual path, you often come to an acceptance that yes, this physical life has a degree of reality to itself, but there's also a transcendent realms that we can also tap into and are the ones that are actually responsible for us being here. And if you have a materialistic mindset where everything is physical matter only, you tend to discount that there is a God. You tend to discount that there is a non-material realm. You tend to discount that there is any kind of non-physical way of healing a body. And even when you are spiritual, even probably you and I, somewhere within us, we still have so much of that materialistic mindset ingrained in us that it can raise doubts for us. That say, yes, I'll take prayer, but I'm going to go get the surgery too, And I'm not saying don't get the surgery. I want to be very clear.
Yeah,
But it's saying that we have to, we see it as both. I think that many metaphysical teachers look at it, prayer is all there is, and that you don't need to. We're not proponents of that, and I don't, science of mind doesn't teach that. But there are some things like Christian Science that go to that kind of level of faith that it's only the power of thought that's creative that can manifest the body in the direction that we want it to go.
Yeah, they're actually pretty rigid about it, as I understand it, Christian Science. And I think the Fillmores did a lot of healing through prayer work. They were a little before Holmes and also a little before advances in science around medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, wow, okay, if I was living in a time where it's leeches or prayer, I'd probably choose prayer too. But
historically, from the state of New Thought coming together, it came out of the realms of mental science in the late 1800s, when Western medicine was pathetically bad, and people were looking for any kind of alternative, and they did find healings. People did get healings through mental science.
Totally.
And then eventually Western science started making great strides, and people flipped to it and sort of like poo-pooed the fact that mental science had any value. But there was a time, and I think that you were referencing that, mental science was a very hot topic, and people had many great manifestations of physical body. How I look at it now, I know that you probably agree with this, is it's not an either or, it's an and. We put them together. Right. We use prayer. We use positive thinking. It's like, one quick example is if I'm going to have surgery, I'll do affirmative prayer for guidance of the person doing the surgery. I'll do guidance for the natural state of my body to want to be healthy, and that the surgery is going to be a step that is going to help my body to be put in a position to use its own internal guidance and divine guidance to manifest physical health. So it's a matter of, yes, I'm going to take the drug, but I'm also going to pray too. And see working hand in hand, to manifest but there are ways in which we resist it. And I think sometimes there is an aspect of people who, if they only accept the physical material science and discount the prayer, I would encourage them, start looking at a way to bring them together, to bridge the two, to find a way to use prayer in concert with Western medicine.
Or if nothing else, just be able to sit in meditation and visualize all of the cells of your body working together to bring about healing. If prayer is even too big of idea, or it's just not your thing, right? So I think prayer happens in a lot of ways, right? Including that. So,
Yeah.
um,
To get into one other thing, Barb, I think that and for me, healing is not just physical body, but it's also, the healing of the state of our lives and our degrees of happiness and our sense of wholeness in general is that we want to feel whole and complete in all aspects of our interactions and feeling connected to everyone and everything, feeling part of the spiritual flow of life. And so it's not just a physical body healing, but I think that one of the resistances that I see often come up in people is they speak to the fact that they want to use affirmations or prayer for some sort of manifestation of healing, but their subconscious mind disagrees with it. Or they say the prayer and then immediately talk in language that's counter to the prayer.
yes.
That it's like I'm praying for my physical health, or I'm praying for material wealth, or a new job, or better, higher relationship, and then immediately they go into saying things about why that's not going to happen. And so
the prayer death spiral. Yes.
yes, yeah, and it's like one positive and 14 negatives, which got more mental energy. The one positive prayer, or the 14 negative statements about what's going to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of that then gets into our sense of self-worth and our sense of feeling that we deserve, or feeling that we are equal to it, I guess, in some way. Like we put ourselves in a, like the universe is going to run out of health and well-being, right? And we should be last on the list or something. And so that's where I think the work begins. Other work begins is in this idea of resistance, and examining our resistance is looking at those places in our life where we're feeling like we don't deserve something, or that we're not good enough for something, or that we've separated ourselves from. I mean, we all do. I think we all do this, right? Like I can know for you absolutely everything that's amazing, and I will withhold it from myself for some reason.
That's true. That's an interesting question. Why can we see the truth for somebody easier than we can see it for ourselves?
Which is part of resistance in many ways, and including resisting that it's probably time for us to say these nice words about the New Thought Media Network, which we are not in resistance to in any way, shape, or form, because we're really happy to be here with them. So we have a little clip to tell you a little bit more about them, and we'd love for you to listen to that and consider supporting them if you are able.
We hope you're enjoying Conversations in Mind. This program is made possible by the New Thought Media Network, a nonprofit that's supporting conscious, spiritual media. If you'd like to support this work, just scan the QR code to make a donation. It lets the network know you like this show and helps them to continue bringing you this type of content. You can also go to ntmedia.org and click on Donate. Thank you for being part of the conversation. Now, back to the show.
And back we are. Thank you for that. And if you're listening to the recording, you can scroll back and grab that QR code and not miss a word. And we'd love it if you'd click like wherever you're listening, and drop us a comment or a question or a topic that you'd like us to take on and spend a little time rambling about. But yeah.
There was a recent show where we had somebody trying to comment live, and I will mention that our shows are pre-recorded, and so sometimes if we're not responding to live comments, that's the case. But we do go back and read the comments, and there was somebody the other day that responded, and I did respond back to the individual.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
It's hard. We post it in so many places. Sometimes it's hard to catch all the comments. But
yeah, this is true. Not only does it go out on YouTube and Facebook, it also goes out to all the audio podcast sites. And so we try to monitor the best we can. But if we miss those, I think coming to the New Thought Media Network's YouTube page might be the one that I know we always check that. And so we do appreciate your comments and suggestions and any feedback that you have for Barb and I. We appreciate you viewing and supporting the network as well.
Thank you. Nice. Yeah. So let's see. We were talking about the feeling undeserving, or being able to totally see very clearly all the magic for you,
Mhm.
and having a hard time applying that for ourselves. And I've seen this a lot in spiritual teachers and not even spiritual in the world in general with everybody. Honestly, like we can always see better for someone else than we can see for ourselves, and I
Mhm.
wonder why that is. I really do wonder why that is.
I would think one part of it obviously is the thing we've talked about. I think there's a sense that sometimes we think we're not good enough, and everybody that I know has somewhere within them some, with a very few exceptions that are maybe over the top narcissistic in some way, but most people have a degree of not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough for the
Yeah.
acceptance stuff. And I think when we come into this world sort of as a somewhat of a clean slate, we probably bring in some prior life stuff with us or some preconditioned things, but we're born into a family and a culture, and we're quickly as a child learning how to navigate in that regard. And a lot of the messages that we get, as positive as they can be, oftentimes also are limiting. And so we develop a self-image that oftentimes has some, as much as it is a positive person a person can be raised in a positive way, they often come with something where they find where they're not valued or not good enough in some area of their life. And for a lot of us, it's more areas than that. And so there's a lot of work we have to do to go back and look at our beliefs. That's one of the values that you and I know from the classes we taught in Science of Mind classes, is that it's so much of it is going back and looking at the training and learning that we had as in our youth and younger years of our life, where we unconsciously developed some inner belief that limits us, that thinks that we're not good enough, we're not valuable, we have some sort of, problem that
Yeah.
in many cases we don't even know what it is. That's why so much of the internal work, the personal work, the shadow work is important, because it helps bring to the conscious level what your beliefs truly are about, no matter what the subject is. We can think that we're wonderful in relationships and we think we're horrible in careers. We can have areas of our life where we think that we can excel, but then we can think we're not worthy to play the guitar well. So there's always something that we sort of limit ourselves at, and if it's really truly an important thing for us, we need to find the root cause and to bring it out so we can look at it and examine it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with you, but
Yeah, I'm constantly like examining, right?
yeah, and that's a good point, Barb. Is that and I think we brought this out in prior shows. As much as we can talk this stuff, that you and I are both working on this stuff all the time.
Always, always. I just did a talk on what if there's nothing wrong, mostly because when I am doing a talk, it's to convince myself of these things, right? Like it's to do my own work in public. That's kind of what ministry is in my mind. Like, you're living your growth in public. And so here we are, doing the same thing. Yeah, I'm not, but that I think is a good place to start to unpack our resistance to things. And also, like, this is not all magical thinking either. You could sit and think a lot about playing the guitar. You could sit and think a lot about how great a guitar player you are. And you could say to yourself over and over again, I'm an amazing guitar player. You still have to practice the guitar.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I haven't met anybody I haven't heard of anybody in our generations who is able to mentally create in a way that lets you bypass the practice.
Right. And take that to every other thing. If you're looking for a relationship in your life, then are you worthy of a relationship, and look at what the issues are within you, and then put yourself out there in a way that can be open to bumping into people that you might have a relationship with.
Oh, I know. I've had so many conversations with people who want to have a relationship, but they're sitting on the couch in their living room, and I'm like, the partner does not fall through the ceiling. Like,
that's right.
That is just not how it works. We do live in a physical universe with rules and laws and all of those things.
Yeah.
And some of them can be bent, but they cannot be broken.
So you want a job or a career? What's the area you want to look? Do you have the skills and abilities? Are you working towards gathering those skills and abilities and building your resume? Are you actually putting in job applications? Are you knocking on doors and calling people and trying to make connections with people? Are you doing all of the steps that can lead to manifestation of what you want? You know, it's one thing to sit on the couch and say it, as you've said, but you have to walk the walk and get out there and do the things that are necessary for it to work in the manifest world, no matter what it is, from guitar playing to relationships, to job and career, to finances, to raising children, to
all of it.
Everything.
And if we're not taking those steps, that's the where our resistance lies, right? I mean, our resistance lies in our not moving forward, not in our, probably there's something in our mind that's in the way, as well as our physical actions being in the way, which is usually because our minds are in the way someplace. So all of this is, you know, it works. I don't know. I'm seeing it as a circle, right? Like you gotta find this. It's the finding the center of the circle, and then walking back out.
And I feel I'm being redundant here, but there really is, to zero in on that, is going to take some personal action. If nothing else, just get a piece of paper and write, why am I resisting whatever it is?
Yeah. Or what are my resistances to?
Yeah.
Is that a word?
The question, what are my resistances to? Why am I resisting? Why am I delaying efforts to move towards this? And just journal, just write it, whatever comes to mind, and see what comes up for you. You can do that in the comfort of your own home and in 10 minutes and see what comes up, and keep doing the practice until you go deeper and deeper with it, and then start figuring out, okay, well, it looks like it's this. And then you ask yourself, well, what am I going to do about that? How can I solve that? What is that true? Is that really true?
Is that really true is a really good question here. Over and over and over again. I'm not worthy of this. Is that true? Is that actually really true? And why would one person be more worthy than you are? So no, it's not true. But then you have to work on whatever your resistance is to understand, to really, really, truly understanding that you're worthy and that is true. Wow, we're just giving everybody a lifetime's worth of work today. What I'm hearing us do completely, and we're kind of in the same spot again. Like the resistance is all within. That's where we keep going. The resistance is within. No matter what you're doing or not doing in the physical world, the resistance starts within, and the release of resistance then must come from within, right?
Yeah, that's right. And but there is a tendency we should acknowledge that, to point out there and say that I can't do it because they won't like it, or I don't have the time, or it's going to require money and I don't have the money, or I'm going to point out there and put all kinds of external excuses on why what it is I'm desiring that would be healing for me is not manifesting. I'm going to blame that. And that's not to say that may not be, some barrier you've got going on in your life, but there's a point where you have to say, in spite of all those things, what can you do to move in the direction of your dreams and desires? What is going to move you to wholeness and healing? And if it's letting go of blaming the external, and it is the turning of the internal, and saying you only have control over what you've got control over. And you got control over yourself. You got control over your thoughts and your actions and your words. And to the degree that you can say, well, okay, from now on, my words are going to be in alignment with me healing in this direction. My thoughts, to the degree I can control my thoughts, are going to be in alignment with that. My actions are going to be in alignment. Put an action step plan down, but identify whatever the internal resistance is. Quit blaming the external, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because if I hear people say, well, it's more than that. It's all these other things. Okay, there are the other things, but start within. Start what you can control, and that's yourself and your time and your activities.
And you will mess this up. You will mess this up. And I think this is, my slogan part of my slogan of the year has been begin again, right? That, I think, bringing beginner's mind to it every single day, or the mind of your dog or your cat who doesn't remember what they did yesterday. All they remember is that today they want a bone, right? Like, so you at some point have to be willing or able to forgive what you did not do yesterday
Oh, yeah.
and start again today and start clean and clear and fresh, begin again,
Yeah.
every day.
That's a wonderful point, Barb. You don't beat yourself up for short-term failures. If you get off the wagon on following your intentions, then get back on it. I mean, I know how spiritual practices, it's very important to me to stay in tune with the divine, to have spiritual practices. It's very easy for me to get up and have some commitment that takes me away, and the day
Including
gets
coffee. I have a very strong commitment to my coffee. Yeah.
Yes. But the point is that you can, there are so many ways that life can get in the way of us following what we say we're going to do. And then we get down on ourselves. I'm a failure because I didn't follow through on what I said I was going to do. Well, just suck it up and start over.
Starting your spiritual practice from a place of I'm a failure is kind of a drag, honestly. But you can start your spiritual practice from a place of begin again.
Yeah, and whether it's spiritual practice that we're talking about, or anything that you felt like that you were trying to manifest, and you got off the wagon, so to speak.
Yeah, anything, absolutely anything, from healing to we don't even have to go through the list again. We've already been through the list.
Right. So what's a good summary? I think we've nailed.
We've done this today, huh? I think for me, the summary is taking me back to my own message of the year, which I had to go back to this morning. Begin again. When the whole message is begin again, open-hearted and fiercely aligned. And fiercely aligned means with the truth of things, which is that we are all one, that we are all connected, and we are connected with a source that is bigger and more expansive than we can imagine, and to begin again there. That would be mine. And you can create from there absolutely anything. Yeah.
And I think for me, it would be identify what it is you desire that is healing for you in this moment, and let go of the external factors that you use as excuses for preventing that from happening, and go within and find the power and strength within yourself to consistently work in both your thoughts, words, and deeds in the direction of your healing. Joy is there for everybody.
Dive in. Yeah. And let joy be enough, right?
Yes.
Maybe that's the next one, is let joy be a high enough bar.
And quit comparing yourselves to others. You are worthy of joy, just of yourself.
Yeah. Joy could be our bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, love. I love these conversations.
Me too. I had no idea where this one was going to go.
I know, right? It was easier than I thought. I thought this was going to take 2 hours. So lucky you all, it didn't.
And we hope you got something from it. Thanks again for viewing, and be sure to like, share, and all the good stuff we said earlier.
Thank you.